Hi guys. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, I posted something that I was going to be sharing a story about my experience in the music industry. Just to put this into a warning now, this is going to be very messy because one, I'm not very good at talking to the camera. It's not my comfort zone at all. I'm getting better. But also I've been very back and forth whether or not to share this footage. And to put it into context, I am working with a team at the moment with my music, and we're doing a lot of brand discussion. And I ended up delving into a subject of my backstory of the music industry as a 16-year-old female. And I ended up going from, a fairly normal story into something that I did not expect was going to be so deep and, triggering for me and for anyone who would watch this. And because I've been so back and forth on whether or not to share this story, I felt sharing this footage from a Zoom call is probably the more natural way to do it, because again, I'm not very good at talking to the camera, so I feel like having it as a sort of almost like an unexpected interview, I guess, is more of like an authentic way to show it and share the story. I also think it's really important to mention why I'm doing this video, and one of the main reasons is because I've wanted to do it for a while, just because it's been over my shoulders for a long time, and I feel like I've not had closure with it as well. But the most important reason is definitely the fact that I've been getting a lot of messages from young female aspiring musicians about singing and how to get into the industry, and, do I need a manager? Do I need this? Do I need that? And I don't want to scare them off by telling them this story there and then. So I'm kind of using this as a way to warn people about the darkness. That sounds really cheesy, but the dark side of the music industry, because there's a lot of hidden agendas, there's a lot of manipulation, there's a lot of brainwashing going on, and that's what happened to me. And I'm going to obviously go into this story in a bit of detail. I mentioned on my Instagram I won't be mentioning names at all, for legal reasons and for other reasons as well. But yeah, another reason I want to share this is because I think it's going to help put a lot of the music that I've been writing into context. I'm going to say that word about a million times, but it's really something that I want people to know when they're listening to my songs. I've got one song in particular that's about mental health, and it's coming out possibly next year. Well, most likely next year, with something else I've been working on. But it's a very big song, it's a very emotional song, and I just want people to know what it's about before listening to it, because it means a lot to me, and I know it's going to reach out to a lot of people. So yeah, there's so many reasons, but I just really hope this helps anyone. If it helps anyone, I will be happy. And yeah, without further ado, roll the Zoom call.
Definitely going through that experience, it's like that kind of chaos to overcome that, and like still you're still like overcame that, still kept singing, and still kept performing, and still kept writing. Like, I think it'd be powerful to talk about the overcoming of that, you know?
Well, I said before, like I just feel like nothing's gonna be worse than that now. So I can literally do anything, and I know that we'll go through like bad times and everything, but I won't let it get to as bad as that was. So
Yeah.
I think like everything now is just gonna just be a breeze
Yeah.
comparison. So yeah.
Um, yeah, so I think maybe take us through more of that experience with the evil characters, and the emotions you were feeling at the time, and any specific details and stuff that happened.
Like with the last managers or the very first manager?
Oh, but like both, because like they're kind of a collective. So, like we'll kind of frame the story as like this happened, and like it was just a series of bad managers, bad teams. Like,
Yeah. Well, the first one made me literally ill and made me like nearly give up music completely. So like, and that was my introduction to the music industry. So like at 16, like there was me going in like completely naive and really young, and then this guy like completely brainwashed me into thinking, you know, that this was how it works, like the manager is your boss, and then that's it. Like I had to do whatever he said, and you know, completely brainwashed, and that's just how I thought it was. It worked because I didn't know any better. So yeah,
so
like
horrible.
kind of contrast of finding out that the artist is actually the boss, and then the manager works for them. That was like a big turning point in my career. So
Wow.
like, okay, that kind of makes sense because you're making money for them, and then they obviously take the percentage off of you, so they work for you.
Yeah.
You work for them, sorry. No, yeah, they work for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, as soon as I realized that, I was like, I got more kind of strong-minded and a bit more, you know, and that's what I take away from the experience. Like I learned as soon as I was like healthy again and find myself getting back into music, I did feel like I knew more about business, and that's kind of like positive I've taken away from it because, you know, I'm a lot less naive now. And if he did anything to me like he did in the past, I would just be like, right in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he literally destroyed my like passion for music, and you know, I can't. That's why I can't wait to get into the music studios, recording studios, because I want to bring back a positive
Association.
experience
Mm.
and those like circumstances and like atmosphere and environment, because I've got so many negative stories and images and experiences in the music studios. So yeah.
So horrible.
Mm.
Yeah, it nearly destroyed my voice as well. Like I nearly got nodes because I was just like performing every single day from like 9 a.m. in the morning to like midnight, doing take after take. And then he would like make me do takes, and then if one was like perfect, he'd be like, "Yep, that's the one. Just let's do it one more time for good luck." And if that take wasn't as good as the last one, it was like all these like other 50 takes beforehand didn't exist, and like I'd have to start from scratch again. Or if like I performed a better day and we'd finished vocals on a song, he'd be like, "Your voice is better today. We're going to go back and do all these vocals."
Mm.
And like he would literally stand in the booth with me and say, "Sing this song to me. Look in my eyes and sing this song to me like I was your boyfriend." And I had to stand in this dark booth and literally, I couldn't. Like I literally couldn't. I was just so awkward, and I was in tears. And he made me like look into his eyes and sing these lyrics. So,
Psychopath.
crazy.
I'm so sorry you went through that. So it makes me
It's
rage.
bizarre. It's like really bizarre. And like he would like, he had this thing where he picked out my insecurities. He wanted a list. He wanted me to write down a list of everything that I didn't like about myself, like physical wise, and that he was going to go through them and fix them with me. But he like took pictures of my skin, like he took pictures of like my forehead, my cheeks, and I was 17 at the time, so I had acne and everything, and he knew I was insecure.
Jeez, so he was just like, oh
And
God.
he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna send these off," and he took a picture with my teeth, and he was gonna get my teeth fixed. I had moles on my body that he would literally touch, like, and say we were gonna get them removed. Just all those little things. And I remember one day he was like, he took me, yeah, because he made me stop dancing at 16, so I wasn't allowed to dance anymore because
He made you stop dancing?
Yeah, he said that it would take up too much time, so he made me stop dancing. And I said,
Oh my God.
like one of the things on the list was literally that I felt my tummy wasn't like toned as it was, and I was wearing a dress that day, and he took me into his bathroom in this like floor length mirror, and he told me to lift up my dress and show me, like, and he said, "Look in the mirror and tell me what you don't like about yourself."
Wow.
Crazy.
Absolutely horrific. But I could also see how, like, it probably started with little things that he would start to do, and then eventually it got like more normalized to the point where you like wouldn't even realize like how weird that is, because he's always like framing it like he has your best intention at heart, and he's like, oh no, like this is gonna make you a better artist, like I'm gonna help you.
Yeah, he told me that I needed a list. He needed a list of all the boyfriends that I'd had in the past and what I'd done with them, because he needed to check them out just in case they went to paparazzi of stories.
Oh my God.
And he knew, like, and this is getting deep, but he knew that I was a virgin at the time, and he wanted to know exactly what I'd done. And these like conversations happened in the studio, so he was like asking me what I'd done with all these guys and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
my God, what a psycho.
And yeah, he was like crazily interested about, like, sorry Jonathan, but my periods. Like, that's how weird it was. Like, he was obsessed with when, like, I was having my time in the month, because he needed to know if I was going to be different in the studios. Like,
Wow.
it's crazy, like, even just talking about it, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's not normal. But I was brainwashed into thinking this is normal. He used to tell me that he went into Universal and Sony, like, studios and stuff, like, going to meetings, and he used to say, they always say to me, like, you spend so much time working with this girl and talking about her and doing stuff for her, you might as well be her boyfriend. He told me this. And like, I mean, yeah, so when I had the nodes, I don't know if this is like anything to the story or if I'm going a bit too deep, just let me know.
This is really, I'm like really grateful you're sharing this, because it's just like I have experiences that are similar, so like you're not like, there's no like shame here at all whatsoever.
Yeah, and like for me, it opens my eyes to like what's actually happening. So if I ever see stuff like this happening around me, like if I'm working with someone younger or whatever who's in the same situation, like I'll know what's up. Like, so
Yeah.
it's probably yeah.
Well,
I had no idea stuff like this happened.
One of the main things what happened was, and why the police were involved, was because so when he thought I had the nodes, and my voice wasn't working properly, which was due to no sleep and stress and anxiety, all that kind of stuff. So I wasn't performing good in the studios, and I was wasting his time and money, basically. So he had to take me to this doctor, and he wanted to take me to an ENT specialist. So he thought I had nodes, and I got my throat checked out by the doctor, and it was really inflamed in the back and just like really tense and tight and everything. And he wanted to check my throat. And when he was checking my throat, he had me on the sofa, and he was like on top of me, and he put his fingers like right down my throat, tried to feel my throat. And I remember like gagging, and he was making jokes like, oh, how can you do that with your your boyfriend and not be able to do this? And I just remember thinking, like, what the hell? Like, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, he was like, like this, and his fingers, and his like, so weird.
That is so, oh my God.
Messed up. But he was like, he's a psychopath, and he obviously thought that
Absolutely.
he was like, he was a doctor, he was this, he was that, like he knew everything. And
yeah,
so I mean, there's so many other stuff, but when I got out of the contract eventually with like the police and lawyers and stuff, I started getting like threatening letters saying that I was going to get blacklisted and my family were going to get in trouble, and my family were going to go to jail because we basically stolen which is money that he paid apparently on the project, which was 250 grand. So we owed him 250 grand, and he sent this big lawyer's bill and statements, things that included muffins that he bought me to eat, tampons, bags that he bought for my birthday. Like, we were to pay all of this back. He had it all listed. Hundreds.
Psychopath.
So that's when you were trying to leave. Was he trying to pull all that stuff?
Sorry.
So this is when you were.
That's when I was like trying to leave. And he sent. I remember like he phoned me saying, I was at college at the time, and this is why like I completely broke down, because I missed like 3 months of college, and I ended up telling everything to my singing tutor at college, and that's when it all came out. And
like, you hadn't told anyone?
I know.
Like, not even your parents or anything? Like, no one knew? Oh my God, my love.
Yeah, literally
Wow.
knew what was going on. And I
And so
remember,
your singing teacher was the first person that you sort of talked about it with?
and she said, like, you have to tell someone because this is crazy. Because he held it against me, saying that, I'd signed a contract and I wouldn't be able to get out, and he'd spent like thousands and thousands of money on me, and I've wasted time, and I had
Control.
all of this over my head, and I was like, I can't get out. I can't tell anybody because I know that they would get me out, and I didn't think I could get out. And I remember him phoning me and being like, he started to know that something was wrong. And then he said, if I tell you to leave college, you leave college. If I tell you to move down to London, you have to move down to London. And my mum, at this point, I had him on speakerphone. My mum could hear everything, and he didn't know that. So that's when it all kind of turns, and we just stopped contact, and we got all these like threatening letters and all sorts.
Christ.
That's scary.
That stuff. So yeah, like I remember when I signed to the next manager, like it wasn't. I think I rushed into it, but I just kind of went with the flow. I don't think I was right in the head, and I signed with another manager. I think I said before like that. Sorry.
Oh, my love.
That's okay.
My heart is right here with you. Giving you the biggest hug. It's all gone. It's never, ever, 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 ever gonna happen to you again.
I know that. I know.
It's I'm so like, no, you cry, girl. Just cry. It's okay. It's a lot. That's a lot that you had to hold on to at that age.
But like the main turning point for me, well, not the turning point, but I said before like that when I was in London, and yeah, like because they put me on the Taliban, with the antidepressant, and they put me on too high a dose, and my mind just went crazy. I'm like, I remember going down to this gig in London, and I can't remember like any lyrics or anything. And then when I went onto the stage, like I can't remember the lyrics or like the order of the songs. And then,
Do you want to take a breathe? Like, do you want to take a couple minutes just to like?
yeah, we're gonna finish anyway, so I'll come back. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't need to be sorry at all.
You don't have to. Yeah, so sorry.
You don't have to be sorry, love. Yeah, take a moment. It's okay.
Okay, so obviously that story ended quite abruptly because what I said in the intro, that I didn't record this next Zoom call because I didn't want it to be recorded. So I went on to share a bit more like little stories that happened at the time, and one of them that sticks in my mind all the time was when he took me to a nightclub in London, and when we went in, he told me I couldn't drink. He told me I couldn't dance with any boys, etc., etc. And then that quickly changed when he was like, I'm going to buy you a drink. Like, let's celebrate. We had a great day in the studio today. You performed really well, blah, blah, blah. So he bought me this double. I got a bit tipsy because I'm a well-known lightweight. I don't drink that much. So yeah, I got a little bit tipsy, and next minute he went off. Like, I don't know where he went. He just disappeared. And so I was left in this club on my own in the middle of London. And I was looking around. It was like, as scary as it is, in a normal situation. So this guy ended up coming up to me and, saying, "You all right? Like, do you want to dance?" So I just started to dance with him just for about 15 minutes. And then my manager came back and he took this guy aside, and still to this day, I have no idea what he said. But when the guy came back to me, he'd said, "Is that your boyfriend?" And I was like, "No, that's my manager." And then there and then I thought, that's really weird. Don't know what he said to him. And he disappeared again. So I still continued to dance with this guy. And, at the end of the night, I think it was like 2 a.m, and he'd driven me home drunk. Well, not drunk, but he had a few drinks. I remember thinking, that's not right. So at this point I was staying, I call her my auntie, but I was staying with a family friends in London, and he phoned me. We had to get up at 9 in the morning, or be ready for 9 in the studios that next day. And he told me, you need to get to sleep, blah 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 blah. And he phoned me that night at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was like, oh, I'm so glad that I got to know you tonight. I got to know you a little better. I love the facts, I know this and I know that. And he was talking about things that I'd told him in the studio as well. And I just had this feeling that he was trying to have phone sex with me the way it was going. And I remember laying there and he was just talking at me, and I literally had to pretend I was asleep. Like I pretended that I was asleep just so I could get off this phone call, because I didn't know what to say. And yeah, so I woke up the next morning, I had to get up, go into studio, had no sleep at all. Like, this is what kind of started the no sleep thing. And I had another bad day in the studio. So after everything, and the way I started to act around him, he could tell that something was wrong. And I think he was such a narcissist to not believe that something that he was doing, I think he thought there was a problem with me, and he was making me feel like there was a problem with me. And when he started to kind of question what was wrong, I couldn't speak to him. I just didn't know what to say. Sorry, 2 seconds. The joys of having a dog. So yeah, when he started to kind of figure out something was wrong and that the communication had broken down, he used to drive me home from the studios and really just, how when someone just talks at you and you're not having a back and forth conversation, you're just getting talked at and talked down to. And I just remember laying in the car seat, just, please just stop talking to me. I don't know what to say. So when we pulled up in front of Claire's for me to go home, and this was probably about midnight. I mean, the studio times were crazy. I would get in the studio at 9 or 10 a.m. and wouldn't finish until midnight. And I would be singing all day, take after take after take, crazy. But yeah, he dropped me off in the car and I went to get out of the car, and he put his hand there and said, lock the door. And he made me lock the door, and he said, we're not getting out of this car until you tell me what's wrong. And I just couldn't. I didn't know what to say. I literally did not know how to communicate with him anymore, because I knew part of me was so brainwashed thinking it was normal, but there was another part of me that thought, this isn't normal. This is not the way someone should be treated. And he knew that, and he was so manipulative. Either that, or sometimes I think, did he actually know he was doing something wrong, which is, psychopath tendencies. I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, that was another kind of realization that, that's not normal. That is not normal behavior at all. So I think I mentioned in the Zoom call, once I got out of this, I obviously hadn't told anybody, and I had to drop out of college. I told my singing tutor everything, and she, told me, you have to go to the police about this. You have to get your lawyers to get you out of this contract. At the same time, I had, obviously, when he realized something was wrong, he started phoning all my family. He was leaving us voicemails. And when he realized that this was over, I got bills, like I said in the Zoom call, and it was actually more. I found these documents recently, and it was just under £500,000 that I owed him for everything that he'd spent on me. So I just thought, I can't get out of this. There's no way I can get out of this. And that put me in a very bad place. So after months and months of police interviews and all those kind of things, all the legal side of things, once that was over, I felt like I was starting to get back to normal. And I felt like I just want to throw myself back into music. I want everything to be taken off my mind and just get back into work. And I did this way too soon, because I wasn't thinking straight. I rushed into another management deal. Great guy, but he just didn't really know what he was doing, and especially because I was on the verge of having a huge breakdown, because I was working back down in London. I was constantly terrified that this guy, this ex-manager, was going to come and get me. And so yeah, I had a huge breakdown in London, where, so I had been put, I forgot to say this, but I had been put on, with the doctors up here in Scotland, I'd been put on an antidepressant called citalopram, and I'd been put on too high a dose, and it just completely messed with my mind. I could not think straight. Like when I was packing for London, I remember packing my bag and I had to get my mum to literally help me pack the things I needed, because I was putting things in, my brain wasn't functioning right, and it was forgetting what I'd already packed and what I hadn't packed. And it was just a mess. Like I just, on the plane down to London, I had to go down to London to this gig, and I think it was in the Pheasantry Pizza Express. And again, I could not remember any of my lyrics. I think I had like 5, 6 songs to do. So, and it was with a band as well. So we had to like do like sound checks beforehand and everything. But before I went on stage, I couldn't remember any lyrics. I couldn't remember the order of the songs, anything like that. And I was having a full-on panic attack before going on stage, thinking, what the hell is, why am I doing this to myself? But again, I felt like I had this unnecessary need to please people and not let people down. I did the gig anyway, and when I went up on stage, it was all like, my brain was a mess. Obviously, I'd been on these prescription drugs, and I started to have hallucinations and stuff. I'll get to more of that in a minute. But I went onto stage, after not remembering anything at all, I began to sing, and everything flooded back to me. Like the lyrics, the order of the songs. And it was just like I was in this bubble. And that's how much music means to me. And even like being in such a mess of the situation, still being able to function properly when singing is just crazy to me. So, and then when I obviously got off stage, it all came flooding back, and it got even worse. This is actually harder than I thought. I was diagnosed with PTSD, which turned into psychosis. So I was hallucinating, and I completely lost touch with reality. Okay, sorry, this video is going to be very, very choppy. So yeah, I had these hallucinations that were very, very scary, as in I just completely lost all sense of reality. I kind of blame myself for it, because I'm a huge horror fanatic, and a lot of the hallucinations I was having connected with films that I'd seen and things that had happened to me during the time with the manager. And it was really, really scary. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's some really messed up stuff, but one hallucination in particular almost cost me my life. And sorry. Yeah, one almost cost me my life. And I remember having to get the crisis team out, and I remember them sitting there just looking at me, and they're asking me all these questions, and I felt it related back to how I felt when I was with my ex-manager, because I didn't know how to communicate with them. I didn't know how to tell them what I was feeling and what all the paranoia and all the hallucinations that I was having, because I genuinely thought they would think I was crazy. And I felt crazy myself. But yeah, very long story short, this happens over quite a long period of time, and I wasn't sleeping. I would refuse to eat. I just had given up completely. And the turning point for me was when the doctors put me on a drug called olanzapine, which thankfully took away the hallucinations, and everything started to like kind of level out, and I slowly, gradually got back to normal. And Again, this was not something that happened overnight. It was a long time. And yeah, as cheesy as it sounds, music literally nearly destroyed my life, but it's also saved it in a way that I've literally took myself off and wrote loads of songs, all these things that I went through, I put down in lyrics, I put down in melodies, and that really helped me heal in a way. I just wanted to get back into it, and surprisingly, obviously, but yeah, and I just feel like I lost my teenage years, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm a lot more behind a lot of other people. That's what I feel. I don't feel that anymore because I've got a lot of positive stuff going on, which I'm going to say at the end of this video. But yeah, I just feel like I've lost a lot of time, but I don't want to dwell on it either. So I just, yeah. And to be honest, I'm still left with really bad anxiety. Like, whenever I'm away from home, I can't sleep. I get myself into this cycle where, you know, I just overthink so much stuff, and I eventually get out of it. Like, I'm fine, like once I'm in like a routine of something, but whenever I'm away from home, I just get flashbacks and just crazy stuff that gives me a lot of anxiety. So I'm still dealing with it, I'm still working with it, but it is getting better. And I know it's going to get a whole lot better once I'm more used to things as, you know, my career goes on. But yeah, I just kind of want to use this as a message to say, like, you can literally be at your lowest point in life and get through it and come out even better. And that's exactly what happens with me, because I feel like I'm like at my happiest at the moment in my career and with who I'm working with and my music, and I just feel like my bubbly self again, which it's taken me a long time to get back to. And this is going to help me as well. But it's just something that I think everybody goes through, you know, at some level in their life, and just know, I'm not really good at saying stuff like this, but just know that it will get better. It always does. And, you know, everything for me now, like, is going to be a breeze. I just will think back to this time and know that if I can get through that, I can get through anything. And yeah, it's reassuring, and it's so healing. So yeah, I hope this video has helped anybody in any way, to kind of share your story, or just know that everybody goes through similar things, no matter what their exterior is, you know, happy, bubbly. You know, you just never know what people are going through behind the scenes or have done in the past. So just always be kind to people, because, you know, someone could be so on the edge of giving up, and just, you know, you just never know. So just be kind to people and just be happy. So be careful who you work with, do your research, get a lawyer if you can. I know it's expensive, but you can find other ways. There's the Musicians Union. But yeah, just be very wary of who you connect with in the music industry. There are some amazing people out there as well. Like, I don't want it to be a negative impact of, you know, you don't want to get into the music industry because of this reason, because there's a lot of people who are great to work with as well. So it's just be very wary of who you end up meeting. And yeah, the main thing is do your research. I did my research to begin with. My parents did. It was all legit. But unfortunately, when I turned 18, things changed and people started to fall away. You know, people that we were working with at the time with this manager, and it was just me and him. And obviously things deteriorated from that. But just do your extra research and just be very careful. But on a positive note, this is like the easier part of this video to talk about by far. So after everything, you know, working with the bad manager, etc. Debut album didn't work out. I'm now working on my debut album for 2022, which is going to be the best music that I've done to date, and the music that I'm most proud of. And I feel like if I hadn't gone through what I'd gone through, I wouldn't be the writer that I am today, and I wouldn't be able to kind of connect as much as I can through my music. So I always say this, but you have to take every single negative experience and turn it into something positive. And I feel like that's what I'm doing now with this album. And just to be able to work with the people that I'm working with now who are talented, genuine, and I feel safe with is just such a blessing. And I'm honestly so excited. So yeah, I mean, look out for 2022. I don't know how to like make an announcement properly, but yeah, just follow me on all my social medias, and look out for some crazy music this year and next year. I'm going to be releasing some covers, I think, this year, just to kind of gain a bit of hype, and then a couple of originals in the summer, and then the music properly comes out in 2022. So I'm really sorry this has been such a long video, but I just want to say thank you for all the support that I got on Instagram and all the DMs and stuff that people sent. But yeah, thank you, and I hope this helped. Bye.